Wealth creation is a science, and I want to talk to you about this book today. The Science of Getting Rich, and it says, as featured in the best-selling book, The Secret. We probably all know The Secret, the law of attraction, got really famous with the book, The Secret. But of course, it didn't start with The Secret. It's like ancient wisdom. And especially also, like me personally, I have read The Secret. And then later on, I like one of my most important mentors up until today was a woman called Mary Morrissey. Mary Morrissey is or has been very, very good friends and business partners or colleagues and creative friends with Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor, everybody knows Bob Proctor, or maybe you know him. Bob Proctor is also in The Secret. He was like this wealth teacher as well. And I learned from Mary Morrissey. And Mary Morrissey is really more, even more on the spiritual side of success. And this is also what I share. The spiritual side of success in all areas of your life, right? Spiritual side of health, the spiritual side of relationships, the spiritual side of money, because we all want to master those things, right? Health is a manifestation of our spirit. Relationships are the manifestation of our spirit, and wealth is the manifestation of our spirit. And there is a science to getting rich, right? It's not by coincidence, it's not by happenstance, it's not by luck, it is by science. And one thing I want to say is that everybody is worthy of success and everybody is worthy of money. Like this whole channel is talking about wealth and prosperity. Yes. And I know that so many people are afraid of it or may think it's a scam or may think it's or may think it's yeah, it's I'm not talking to you. Like I'm not even going to say that. Like I'm not talking to the people who still think money is evil, because honestly, money is not evil, and we all know that we all need money. No matter where you are, even the people who are thinking that they want to create their own secluded world, I believe for now, maybe we will evolve to a state of not needing money, and that could be fine, right? But for now, money is still the energy that we want to master in order to support us on this physical plane, because we are physical being, right? Because we are living in a material world, and I am a material girl. Of course, we are material because our body is flesh and bones, okay? And we need a home, a roof, a shelter, and material things. Like everything around us is material, and that's why we want money. Okay. The number one chapter in this book is called The Right to Be Rich. And I don't want to say that I've never been there. I definitely do know the blocks around creating money. I do know it, of course. Like as I said it before in previous videos, that I had especially had to cleanse and purge my like my Black lineage, like the story attached to being African and even the culture around my family, and also my dad being a migrant coming to Germany, and also my mom being a middle class woman who was actually very good and very money savvy and success oriented. My mom is like one of my biggest inspirations. She has made the best out of her life, and she's living her best life so far. So I feel it's my obligation to have succeeded, right? Absolutely. So she has always taught me about the value of money, and not necessarily in a way of sitting down with me. Later on we did that too, but just being an example of, she was a working woman. She, like, we always had money. At a point in my life I also felt like I was rich. We're middle class. Like I grew up middle class, but I always had everything that I wanted. So I'm a little bit of a spoiled girl. So the challenge for me was really when I came to, like, when it came to the time to earn money when as myself, like maybe I've always loved to work. Also, when I was still living in my home, like with my parents or with my mom and her husband, my stepdad, but I could always use that money only for pleasure. So it took me some time I only had to learn how to pay for my own foundation, like my livelihood in my 20s. Like I studied up until my 20s, and until then, I always worked, but I could always use that money only for pleasure, right? So when it came to the time where I had to pay for my rent and for my car and for my expenses, I realized, oh, like I don't want to work. I don't want to spend all this time in working in corporate. So I worked in corporate as an international accountant, and later on, I worked in sales, and I loved it. Like I loved sales. And I love to share what I love with people, right? So for me, that is sales. Sales is sharing what I know is gonna better your life, and especially education. Like the first time I came into real sales was when I came into this multi-level insurance company, but I loved it at this time. I loved the incentive, I loved the team building, but I also loved the educational part about wealth building. So it has always been my thing. And at the same time, I realized that there, like so many people have so many attachments around it and not really liking it and things. So like, I was like, huh, I don't understand it. So this was more of my journey to go through the doubt of other people and thinking, okay, why are so many people so like, you're not honest? I mean, we all want money, and it's okay to want money also from people you know, because you're giving something to them that you feel is valuable. But this is when I realized not everybody thinks education is valuable, and not everybody has this neutral understanding of money exchange, right? Yeah, it's normal. Like you give me money because I give you value, right? I give you the knowledge, I give you the system, how you can also create your own. And this is also what I do with this channel. I share concepts with you. And if you want to take it further and want to find out how you can make money with your knowledge, I also share that in my membership. So I have always been that person, but I definitely do understand if there is blocks around it 100%, because it took me time to unblock other people's stories, because most of the time the stories that we have inherited are not our stories. It's our parents' story, it's our culture story. As I said, with my dad being a migrant from Ghana, like this whole poverty thing, maybe even maybe even so funny. Like maybe even just thinking that this is a poverty consciousness, because I think, as I actually learned that money is very important from my dad and from being a migrant, right? Because everything was about money. I remember my dad died this year, so rest in power, my daddy. And so what I realized when my dad, like before my dad died, right? I visited him in the hospital, and then I asked him like what are the lessons of what are the lessons of your life? Right? And he was already sick, and he was never really a talker. So he really said, like, the most important thing is money. That's what he said. I was like looking for, maybe he was saying like maybe love or something. Again, my dad was never really a talker, but he then said money, right? He said like the number one thing that he would say is it's important is money. And I had to laugh, just like I had to laugh now, because it's true. Like as long as we don't master the money game as people, I think we are not free. Right? I That's 100% my opinion, and I'm going to share with you the truth behind it, right? So, number one, we all have the right to be rich. Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it's not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. Yes, absolutely. No man can rise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development unless he has plenty of money. For to unfold the soul and to develop talent, he must have many things to use, and he cannot have these things unless he has money to buy them with, especially for my creatives, right? I have clients who do have this money block, even though they buy the most expensive software for their creative craft. The same, my microphone costs money, like the light costs money. I have a ring light, I have a softbox, even though I have this camera, right? Like I have the program, I have the laptop, I have the house. Like I have to have all these things in order to create. So let's be realistic, right? Realistic in terms of money is necessary, especially if you are interested in creative development and soul development. It goes hand in hand, right? So a man develops in mind, soul, and body by making use of things, and society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things, right? Therefore, the basis of all achievement for man must be the science of getting rich. Oh, yes. Okay, so if you want to learn more about this, come over to my membership. I have a book club and I share all of the wisdom library that I have inherited from my mentor there. This is just one book. Chapter 2, there is a science of getting rich. I'm just going to go through it like very briefly. Is opportunity monopolized? No, it's not. Today, we live in the day and age of social media where we can all capitalize on our knowledge. Then there's the first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. The formless substance is spirit, is creativity, is God in action, is the divine feminine. It is only thought that can produce tangible results, right? No thought of form can be impressed upon original substance without causing the creation of the form. So if you're thinking about getting rich, you have to find a way to get rich. So then we have, like, I'm just going to share some of the sublines. What is it called? Not sublines, headlines. How riches come to you. When I say that you do not have to drive sharp bargains, you do not mean that you do, I do not mean that you do not have to drive any bargains at all, or that you are above the necessity for having any dealings with your fellow men. No, I mean that you will not need to deal with them unfairly. This is such a truth, right? Making money has nothing to do um with stealing. Okay, like it's not about stealing, it's about being of value, right? So you do not have to get something for nothing, but can give to every man more than you take from him. You have to be in the mindset of giving people more than the money that they can give you, right? So when I ask you to, like, I'm always going to be transparent. When I ask you to come over into my membership because there's so much more value, it is only $100 or euros, right? And when you come there, you have to feel a sense of, oh my God, that's so much, right? I got more than I paid for. And I can tell you, when I started investing into myself, so I started investing into myself. And again, I want to let you know, I come from this middle class family, from my dad being an African, being the oldest of 10 kids. He always sent all his money to his family. My mom therefore separated from my dad, to be very honest, because my mom wanted to live a richer life, right? And then my mom went on. She was always a hard worker. She found herself a man who was equally yoked. They both had good money handlings, and they're now living their best life. It's my stepdad. They have stayed together until now, and they will die together. And they're living their best life. So this is where I come from. I have seen, like, my dad not really like he didn't learn the lessons that I'm also sharing with you, that in order to create wealth for yourself, you first have to also detach from the family that is sucking you dry. Like, no shade to my family, I love them, but that's many times that is how migrant families go about things, right? One person goes to the Western world, then the person doesn't really learn financial literacy, and they send all their money back to their home country where people are chopping the money, right? And then they don't really get themselves to a stable footing. That's just many times the case, right? My mom didn't want that, so she went on with her financial self, right, to create her life with her new husband. And again, it worked. Like, I could really see how financial literacy and being trapped in the cycle of constantly just emergency calls, right, giving money like here and there and here and there, but not for building something sustainable, but just to meet the basic needs, right? So I can tell you more about that, but this is really something that I've seen firsthand, like how this has not created any level of financial stability for my dad, and also not for us as the legacy, right? As the inheritance, right? He left a house for us, which I'm very proud of, a land and a house in Ghana, and he has made his mark. I'm proud of my dad coming from where he came from, but he didn't continue, and that's why I was obsessed with personal development. So what I want to say here is I come from that background, right? So when I first started earning my own money as an accountant in this international corporation, I realized, no, I want more. Like, I want more and I can do more. I had this seed inside of me that I already had this big life perspective of being mixed. Like, this is one of my biggest treasures of experience, right? Also, in terms of spirituality, I have always identified with my spirit because my nationality or my ethnicity was split. I'm not Black, I'm not white, both see me as different. So I had to early on come into my fullness of I am me. I am both. I am unique. I am my own. I am whole as me. And I can't hide in this culture or in this culture, because both cultures will always kind of show me that I'm a bit different. So this is one of my biggest teachings that I can like impart on you. But what I realized when I started going into personal development, and this is what I want to say, is that, and this is like, it was a big tangent here now, but I want to go back to when I invested. So the thing is, I knew I was interested in health, so I became a holistic nutritionist. This is also a foundational part of my wisdom, right? And then I knew, oh, that's not it. Like, I want to know, I kind of knew that I wanted to know about psychology, the psychology of health and wealth, and also the spiritual principles, because I have read The Secret, right? And because I knew about those things, and I'm very inclined, like, I'm a Cancer, I'm a very emotional woman. So I'm a psychic, right? I have this extra sense. I'm very intuitive and things like that. So I knew I wanted to learn about this more, and I made an investment. So it is about the money. You pay for the knowledge, right? So I invested into getting coached. And then at the end of the coaching, I realized that's what I want to share with the world. So I knew I needed to do this. I knew it 100%, no doubt, go. And then when I talked to that salesperson on the call, she said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I felt so good all the time. Like, also what I invested in, it gave me more life. It gave me more value than the money that I paid for it. I knew I trust this institution. I want to go with them. Then she said the coaching certification training, because I got certified as a dream builder coach and then a life mastery consultant. So I have this whole curriculum that I teach also in my membership, is then I like, that's what I learned, right? So I jumped into becoming a coach, and the first investment was $12,000. And at that time, I was literally like kind of homeless because I was working in a retreat hotel that was about fasting and like retreat and detoxing and like healthy food and all of that, because it was alongside with my training to become a holistic nutritionist. So I was deeply immersed in that health world, which also had a lot of like spiritual knowledge in it already. And then I decided I'm going to do it even though I didn't have my own apartment and I wasn't making any money at that time, but I knew that I can do it, right? I knew I can do it. And then I asked my back then boyfriend and I asked my mom, and they helped me. So they believed in me. I believed in me. I believed in having this knowledge would change my life and I could serve more, because that's also what I wanted. I wanted to learn it for me, but I knew myself already, because I am the person that when I get information, when I collapse time, because that is also what happens, right? When you collapse, like when you invest in a mentor who has taken their time, like my mentor has invested 40 years of her life into building this curriculum and this business structure. She's a multimillionaire. So I think it's good to learn from somebody like that. So it collapses time. I went into that and I don't regret it. I love the whole training. I became a life coach, and then everything from there, like I kind of infected my mom. I inspired her. Then she quit her job. She was in a leading role, like she was managing her own like what is it called, like the plants section in a DIY house. Like she was the one who was in charge of the whole gardening and plant section. That's her thing. My mom is a she's a gardener. She's a wise woman too. Like she's very inspiring. So she quit her job, and then she, like, I helped her and we did it together. She funded her own cafe, and like I brought in my knowledge of the nutrition and like the recipes and things like that. And she's a great cook. She's a great chef. And she's also a good businesswoman. So we did that thing together. Oh my God. We made so many mistakes, which still hurts a little bit. We could have done it better, but it was a learning. Yeah. But when I think about it, it was so nice. It was so good. And I loved it. So, but I knew I had all this knowledge and I wanted to share it with more people. And the first people that came in were clients also from the restaurant. So they knew I was a life coach. They came in. This is how I made my money back. It was easy because I am the embodiment of this knowledge, right? So it was very easy. And then later on, I kind of stumbled. But what I want to say, the point I'm trying to make here is that it was really about receiving knowledge that will make you feel so good that you don't even care about the money that you invested, because you got more than what you expected. And this is what D. Waddles is also saying here. You don't take, you give, but you also let yourself be compensated. Another another headline here is act in a certain way. You have to act like you are a person of increase, right? You have to act from a level of confidence, and you have to know that what you give is worth something, right? You have to think that way and you have to act that way. You have to act that you know who you are, right? You have to know who you are and what you bring and what your service brings and what your product brings if you are in a product-based service. And then, of course, that's also another headline: get into the right business. So I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I'm a, even like, I would really call myself a priestess, because I know so much about spiritual law and spiritual principles related to wealth creation or manifestation and all. And it's really about, yeah, like owning that, right? So I'm a priestess, I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, and I love helping people to find their purpose, create the structures, and then make money out of it. And it's about getting into the right business. And this has been something that I have been struggling with, because I know, and this is another gem, it is easy. It is simple. Simplicity wins. Simplicity wins. And you can only create simplicity by creating a structure that is simple, right? Simple is you go into a store, there's a product, you get the product, you buy it, bum. That's very simple, right? That's why people position themselves in the right spaces. It took me some time to get onto social media, onto YouTube especially, because being on YouTube is positioning yourself as a teacher. That's what I believe. I love other YouTubers who are multimillionaire life coaches and spiritual teachers because they've really understood what it's about, because we just want to share. Like, we are not here to perform. I love performance, right? But we're not here to perform. We're literally here to share our knowledge and then to invite you into a smaller container, because you will not necessarily have the transformation by only looking at social media. That's what I believe. You can take away a lot, but if you haven't done the deeper inner work, and the deeper inner work has to happen in a smaller container. I 100% believe that. So what I want to say here is getting into the right business. Success in any particular business depends for one thing upon your possessing, depends for one thing upon your possessing in a well-developed state the faculties required in that business. Okay, you need to know what you're doing, right? Without good musical faculty, no one can succeed as a teacher of music. Without well-developed without well-developed mechanical faculties, no one can achieve great success in any of the mechanical trades. Without tact and the commercial faculties, no one can succeed in mercantile pursuits. Being a business person, right? You have to know how to deal with people, and you have to know how to actually develop a business, right? So it is important for you to know the different steps of creating wealth. Again, the book is called The Science of Getting Rich. If you want to study it with me, come over to my membership and we study it and we dive into it. And I can say, just to give you a little like round, today, the economy we live in today, especially with the internet, especially with YouTube, especially with the process that I have developed and that other multi-millionaires have developed. This is also something that I always like to say. The process that I use isn't like, it wasn't invented by me. It was not even invented by my mentor, but my mentor, as I said, has developed it through the past 40 years. You collapse time by just taking what somebody has taken so much time to develop. I own it now. So I can guarantee you that if you work with me, it's a proven, repeatable, reliable system of transformation that will get you to a point of clarity and build a sustainable foundation from which you can create your next level of wealth and success, whatever is important to you. And then the same thing goes with the business structure. The business structure that I'm using is also tested and built by multimillionaires. And I am using the same system, especially for someone who is a knowledge-based business. I am the money, right? My knowledge, my experience, my expertise, my results of helping hundreds of women already creating their next level. That's my expertise, right? And if you are someone who has a knowledge-based business, if you are an expert at something, if you have created some level of transformation before, you can use YouTube as well. And then the whole process that I use, I speak about that more in depth in the membership. So if you want that come over to the membership. If not, take what you want from this live, right? You can take it and run with it. And I'm looking forward to hear from you. What is your biggest blocks in terms of money, right? What is your biggest blocks in terms of being a spiritual, being a creative, being a feminine, right? Being in flow. What is your biggest block in money creation and wealth creation? Is it a mindset? Isn't it identity that you think, oh my God, money is bad? People with money are bad. Capitalism is bad, or having money is bad, things like that, or I am not worthy, or I am not good enough, or I am not experienced enough. Like, look around. Like, literally, the only reason to look around is always to look around and to see. We are on social media. Look how many people are making money online, not only by social media, but because they use social media as their marketing platform. And I believe, for me personally, I think there's nothing better than being the face of your own brand, right? You don't have to pay ads. You can do it, but you don't have to. You don't have to pay ads. You don't have to pay any marketing company. You just show up as you, and you will therefore find the people that actually really want to work with you because you are the match. Yeah. So I think this was jam-packed. It was a lot, but it is my joy. It is my joy to speak about the times that we're in. Like, if you're spiritual, if you're a creative, it is our time to shine. But of course, you have to be willing to have the foundation right. You have to set the structures in place, and you have to, of course, have the passion to come on and to share what it is that you want to share. But in this time that we live in right now, it is possible to create your own empire on your own terms from your home. And I think it's just a wonderful time that we live in. So much love to you, and I'm looking forward to hear from you. Like, subscribe if you found this valuable, and see you in the next one. Until then, stay dangerous. Bye.